What did I read for Wednesday comics? Well, mostly new or newish comics, which I'm rather surprised by. I would have thought I was going to be doing stuff on comics that I enjoyed in the past and certain storylines and that sort of thing, which I'll get to eventually, I assume. But World's Finest, yes, once again, continues to surprise me that it's just such a good superhero comic book. It's a strange anomaly, apparently. And wondering how long is this going to last, before it all crashes and burns itself down. But so far, 8 issues in, it's not doing that. There is this curious story about Boy Thunder continuing on, and hints that he may not be what he appears, and that he may be some character from the past or something like that. Perhaps they'll reveal that he's the real Jonathan Kent, and the current one is actually Ultraman's son. But I don't think so, because Boy Thunder has different powers and all that. So he meets up with the Teen Titans and the kids his own age, and they're trying to help him out, trying to help him to learn to control his powers so they won't be so dangerous. And so they do that, and Robin is more or less taking the lead on this, trying to help him out, and that sort of thing. But it's actually Wonder Girl who says, look, maybe it's just me, but you need to be careful about this guy. I think there's something a little off about him. So that's your first little hint that there might be something up. And Robin's like, I don't know, maybe. And so, hint, hint, where this go. Meanwhile, Superman's supposed to be the main mentor for him. And for the most part, he is, but it appears in this story, at least certainly first Robin and then Batman is more of a mentor to him. Supergirl reaches out to him because she has more in common with him than even Superman does, because, they were both much older when they lost their worlds and that sort of thing. So it's a nice scene between those two. But Superman's taking him on patrol. The idea is that he now has a sidekick and trying to show him the ropes and all these disasters going on. And then there's this business of people getting trapped by this villain, the Key, who's an old Justice League villain. And so there's these guys trapped in a vault. Superman and Supergirl are busy saving people from fires, and it's up to Boy Thunder to do this. But the only way for him to open the vault that these guys are trapped in, and this mine, is to use his powers. But they're highly volatile and dangerous, and he's very nervous about it. And so Batman has to talk him through it. And ultimately it works. He does save the day. Superman's all proud of him and everything, even though he panics at the last minute. But then, no, I got to do this, and he does. And then the epilogue of it is the Key goes to talk to the real mastermind behind it all, and it's the Joker. So there we are. The Joker's up to no good, as per usual, and is up, some nefarious plot that apparently involves other villains like the Key, and so we'll see where that goes. But it's just the pacing, the presentation of it all. It's just a superhero story, and which probably wouldn't get much notice in a previous era. I mean, somewhat, but it's like a dose of oxygen after being underwater for so long. So that's the deal. That's World's Finest remains the best current superhero comic available. Certainly from the two big mainstream companies, Marvel. Maybe there's something there, but I'll look, but I'm not really finding anything. but it's all very sad. Marvel Comics from the past, that's one thing, but currently, I don't know. Not on par with this anyway. So anyway, the anomaly continues. Meanwhile, there's the spinoff of World's Finest, which is not bad, but it's not as good as World's Finest. So the premise of this was all set up in World's Finest, which takes place in the past. This Batman versus Robin, another Batman versus Robin series, takes place in the current era. And Robin has basically become possessed by this demon that Superman and Batman took on in World's Finest. And they thought they had banished him, but Robin was manipulated into releasing him. So there's a lot of creepy things here. Of course, it's dealing with a demon. And the heritage of the Ra's al Ghul's family is brought into this. Which I always thought him being the head of the demon was just a nickname, but apparently there's more to it than that. There's an appearance by Felix Faust and a reference to the original Justice League battle that he'd had, but it's all playing into magic going crazy. All in the previous issue, Zatanna was taken out and all this stuff. The helmet of Dr. Fate appears. All this, that's how powerful the Devil Nailsin apparently is, and is utilizing Robin, probably primarily because of his vendetta against Batman, having been the one who figured out how to trap him in the World's Finest story. So he wants to use Robin against him in that manner. But there's more details about the Ra's al Ghul family in this as well. But this is one of those where it comes across like the Vertigo stories and whatnot, which you would think wouldn't apply to Batman. And for the most part, I don't think it does. If he was guest starring in a Justice League Dark series, kind of, sort of okay. There have been supernatural stories for Batman. But he's not really a Batman. He's just the kind of suit who fights criminals. But, things are revealed to him, the things he didn't know that Damian had been up to and this sort of thing. And he's drawn into the House of Mystery, which if you are familiar with Justice League Dark and the Vertigo stories, which I don't think the two can be the same. I think once they merged everything, each side kind of lost its luster, if you will. And Vertigo was destroyed by woke people, so it's done. So anyway, but this Batman doesn't have any choice. He's trying to save his son, so he and Alfred venture into this and seemingly escape, although, as you can see from the imagery here, no surprise here, really, as to how tough it's going to be for Batman to overcome the Devil Nailsin. But for what it is, it's not too bad. It's just, I don't see it as being on par with World's Finest. But, we'll see where it goes. It might have a good payoff. Well, the least of the three is the conclusion to Flashpoint Beyond, which was a series where they revisited the Flashpoint world where the Flash had changed time, which resulted in the creation of the New 52, which is all but gone now because it failed. So they're constantly rebooting, and they can't seem to figure out what the problem is. The problem is you don't do more comics like World Finest. And you keep using superficial elements for your characters, like everyone's gay now, even Batman apparently. What was a Ghostmaker and him had a little flirtation. Yeah, isn't that nice? So everybody's magically gay, and once you exploit all of that, how far does it go? Doesn't. And there's nothing there. It's empty. You might as well have nothing in the pages. So, reboots. Hey, well, it's the new, be the first on the new era of DC and all that type of stuff. It's every 5 minutes, there's another reboot and everything. So it's kind of somewhat interesting that they revisit an old failed one The Flashpoint world, which was supposed to be erased once the Flash put back what once went wrong. And but he brought a letter from Thomas Wayne and gave it to Batman in his world. And Batman apparently secretly has been obsessed with restoring the Flashpoint world so that his parents live. Little does he know, apparently, I guess, I don't know, that his mother became the Joker, which, so, there was a lot of twisted, messed up things, but his father possibly becoming Batman, maybe, but his mother becoming Joker never really made any sense. The only way that works is if for some reason Dr. Manhattan manipulated it to the point that he wanted to see what would happen if that's the way it turned out. So the whole story has been, there's this clockwork killer. Well, it was the Martha Joker who did it. And Thomas Wayne wasn't even all that interested because he's trying to get the Flash back and restore the normal universe. He doesn't realize that it still exists. All of this has been manipulated actually by Bruce Wayne. And wanting for this universe to exist where his father's dead. Meanwhile, the Time Masters, which is an old sci-fi DC characters, are brought into this, trying to stop Batman from doing what he was doing, but all of it was irrelevant. The whole acceptance of a multiverse means that the Flashpoint world could have existed anyway. It's just another world where things happen differently. And Thomas Wayne is Batman, and little Bruce Wayne sadly died, and that's that. So that's where they end up. The Waynes were going to use a time sphere to go back and stop Bruce Wayne from being killed, so that they died and that he lived on and all that. And the Time Masters, they can't do that. Well, I don't know why, because that's what happened. In the current universe, it's all a bunch of gobbledygook stuff. The whole thing is to lay down more teases as if they're going to actually map out what the hell the DC universe is. It's been more or less in an incoherent shambles since Crisis on Infinite Earths, which that story in and of itself was great. It was fun. But they did it to get rid of their multiverse, which for quite a few reasons was a mistake. For the most part, it only involved really two worlds. It was Earth 1 and Earth 2. Then the Shazam people had their own world, so there's 3. And then, of course, the crime syndicate. So, okay, you got 4. Other Earths would come in for little stories here and there, but that was about it. The whole thing started as just an explanation for what happened to the original version of the characters from the 40s. And then they would have these annual crossovers with the Justice Society and Justice League, and that was it. After a while, you just had more titles. You would have these backup stories in like Superman Family comic book series, stuff like that, where you would see the Golden Age Superman and Lois, and they were married and all this stuff way back when. And I didn't see any problem with that. But I guess they decided it was. And so, okay, they do it, and they do their reboot, and you get Man of Steel and Year One and all that stuff, but they never really bit the whole bullet, and they didn't really commit to the whole bit to where everything starts over. And they still really have it. New 52 kind of looked like it did, but they didn't, because they had to keep because the Batman cells were so good at the time. They kept all 5 of his Robins apparently in a time span of 5 years. No. So, if they would just do it already and say, okay, this is it, but they just keep doing reboots and stuff for no rhyme or reason. And, I don't care about the Dark Crisis. I didn't care. I read the damn metal stuff, and I'm sorry I did. Some of it was fun. Some of the little side, one shots and stuff, the different versions of Batman, but it's just, that's another thing of Batman, being godlike and everything. It's just not this crime fighter's purview, not really. So Superman, yeah, but Batman, no. So anyway, So they have established that the Flashpoint world exists. Whether or not they revisit it again, well, maybe for some crossovers here and there, but that's about it. And that comes out of just, hey, look, multiverse. Yeah, okay. And so Batman and I guess Harvey Dent's son is his Robin, and off they go. Meanwhile, Jeff Johns teases revisiting the Watchmen again with this, I don't know, legacy girl to Ozymandias character. He should just leave the Watchmen alone. Throwing in Dr. Manhattan was kind of a Hail Mary pass for Rebirth, but even that they fizzled, which started out pretty interesting and cool. But that's where you end it and just leave it alone. Beyond that, so was he going to do that again and try to redo Doomsday Clock, which kind of fizzled too? Had some cool teases, but that's all it is cool teases. And they can't seem to just settle on one thing. And there you go. You establish whatever your DC universe is, and these are the parameters. And then you just do stories like World's Finest. That's what you do. And I think you would be in a much better shape than you are now. It's probably too late. I don't know. Maybe Zaslav's plan for the movies will restore interest in this, or he probably outsources it off to Todd McFarlane or somebody, and that'd probably be for the best. I don't know. But a lot of this was just such unnecessary mess. Some of this stuff wasn't that hard, but they just made it that way. You can say, oh, well, the woke interference. Yeah, but, man, whatever. At least you got World's Finest. You got that. So, Flashpoint Beyond had some interesting things to it. I kind of like the mood and characteristics he did with the Thomas Wayne Batman. Keep in mind, there's been two versions because they did do that other Earth too, where there was yet another version of a Thomas Wayne Batman, blah, blah, blah. But the whole setup of this version of Batman was interesting. And, but I don't know how far you can go with it. Well, I guess sales would dictate, market would. But yeah, I don't know if there'll be any interest in that. In the meantime, this was primarily masterminded by Jeff Johns. He had other writers help on this, but he's moving on to restoring the Golden Age heroes of Justice Society, and then Stargirl will get a series, stuff like that. Well, a miniseries anyway, and we'll see what he does with that. But so maybe he'll do well with that. And surprisingly enough, Mark Waid continues to doing the good work he's doing with the World's Finest. And in the rest of the titles, who cares? Maybe that's how it'll go. Anyway, we'll see what I have in store for next week on Mr. Nailsin's Wednesday Comics.